In Zurich for us is Christian Gattiker, Head of Research at Bank Julius Baer. Christian Gattiker, thanks very much indeed for joining us. Let's talk Apple first, and we'll go over to the European thing shortly. It's quite a big ask, isn't it, for a product that's so iconic and, frankly, sexy, to get people to upgrade to a newer version, which looks exactly the same as their old version. What do you make of Apple's strategy here?
Yeah, well, indeed, as a normal guy, normal user, I thought, well, this just looks the same as the other one. However, of course, the techies, the technology specialists, our technology analysts, they love it. They think this is a real quantum leap. So, the jury is still out. I think the market reaction was decent overall. So a lot of expectations were built in. And I think, with the gadgets there, probably they could at least satisfy kind of the high-end users. So let's see how this is going to fly in the future. I think, it will be crucial also for the franchise.
Yeah, interestingly, and of course the shares of Apple fell actually when that was announced. Let's move on. We've got a lot to get through. Let's talk about expectations in another field, notably what Olli Rehn was saying, talking about concerted action on the banks. We've got stock markets rising across Europe. The US rose at the end of the day yesterday. What do you make of those comments? Was there anything really new?
Yeah, well, it was more of the same. I think we've seen these type of statements quite often over the past few weeks and months. And I think with the European situation, implementation is the key risk. So there are intentions there to do something about the situation. There's also a sense of urgency. But what I really miss there is really a lack of is this shock and awe type of approach that we've seen 3 years ago in the US, where they simply flood the market and maybe even overdo it. With regard to the measures they take, and usually, it gets a lot of dilution in Europe over here as soon as it starts the implementation process. So the whole thing is downscaled and so forth. So I think, the likelihood of this being one-to-one implemented into a real recapitalization package is, at least for the next few weeks, rather unlikely.
The markets certainly today seem to be shrugging off the downgrade that Moody's put on Italy. I suppose it wasn't necessarily unexpected. To what extent, actually, though, does this put more pressure on the likes of France and Belgium?
Well, overall, Moody's actually is now in line with Standard & Poor's assessment of the situation. And, of course, if you look at their rationale for downgrading at this stage, I mean, it's all directed into putting on the heat on the Italian government to do something about the fiscal situation. I think the Italian authorities have been a lot too sanguine, much too sanguine on the situation this summer. And now, they're turning the screw at the rating agencies and are also looking at market action in the Italian bond market. So overall, it should get them slightly more disciplined down the road. But I think still in Europe, the big issue is elsewhere. Let's say France, let's say Belgium after the last night's Dexia announcement. I think these rescue packages are really putting on a big question mark on ratings of these government issuers.
And briefly, Christian, can I just ask you about how all this is affecting your investment strategy, bearing in mind there are some people who reckon, tomorrow we could get an ECB rate cut?
Well, I think, at this stage, it's not necessary yet to get out of a cautious stance. I think all these moves we've seen was a crazy day yesterday, with lots of new information, Bernanke coming in, Rehn coming in. Before that, they were talking about debt burden sharing, the bondholders that should get more of a haircut in Europe, things like that. It really still feels like a very fragile situation. And I think it's not the time to be very courageous at this stage. Don't try to be a hero. That's our message here. And remain rather on the sidelines. And usually you see a rebound happening, not in one go, but rather in a few steps. And I think that we're still looking for these bottoming processes there.